What's up, HyperFast Nation? On this episode of the show, I sat down with a real estate agent who's been in the business for nearly 2 decades, has run multiple teams, and is now using technology to dynamically retarget and dynamically nurture leads so that he and his agents focus on the most viable prospects. Welcome to the show, Gabe Cordova. All right, welcome to the show today, Gabe. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, my friend. How are you doing?
Good. I'm excited to have you on and excited to have you come speak at the HyperFast Summit. I'm sure we'll talk about that later on in the show as well. Before we dive into all the great content that you're going to talk about today, give our listeners and viewers out there a little bit of background on who you are, what you're doing, what you're up to in business these days.
Yeah, absolutely. So Gabe Cordova, agent, broker, team lead, have been licensed for almost 20 years now. Most of my career was in Idaho and Boise. Started just off as a solo agent, actually not really knowing what I was getting into. I think it was just an idea to get my license. This is back in 2002, and thought I'd do it part-time with my other job, and quickly within 30, 60 days, made more money. I had more money like in pending status than I would probably make the entire year at my other job. So obviously went full time, but I was that typical agent, got in not knowing what I was doing, not knowing really where my next deal was coming. I did it because a friend was going to buy a home. I had a lot of spare time, and it just, I got in and started realizing, it was interesting. I realized agents weren't doing really a whole lot at the time, and I don't want this to come as a diss. They weren't doing a whole lot to build their business and find opportunities, right? It was the typical hold open houses, go door knocking. Here's the phone book, was literally one of the things that my managing broker handed me. Cold calling, and not that any of those don't work, and I'm not bad at those. It just was not what I wanted to do. I was new to Boise, didn't know anybody, and didn't really see the open house thing as my pathway to building a career out of it. And not that I didn't do any, I did a couple.
So you didn't grow up in Boise, the area where you launched your career?
No, I grew up about 4 or 5 hours away up in the mountains, small little mining community, and lower middle class, probably, if I'm rounding up. I grew up a cowboy. Most people don't know that. We had horses. I grew up riding horses, training horses for extra income, 4-H and all that stuff. But yeah, as I got going on it, I realized just talking to everybody, there were people, I'd listen to people in the office. I was there every day. I'd listen to people take calls and like, I'm not going to work that. That's in whatever county, or that's in whatever area. And I'm like, wow, there's an opportunity. There's a lot of people that have business that aren't doing anything. And I don't know if you ever heard of a little website called Craigslist, but that was coming about, and it was starting to get real estate postings, or got a real estate section in it, and postings. And what I ended up doing is I just kind of swallowed my pride. I didn't have any business. I didn't really want to sit open houses. So I just started asking anybody, like, hey, if you have these sign calls that are coming in that you don't want, the low price points, it was just literally like, let's just call it begging. Like, just give me your garbage, give me your trash. I want to take it because this is going to start building my sphere, and I'm going to start building a book of business. And so they did. And then it turned into, hey, can I take your listings and try to find buyers for them? And people would say yes. And I started posting them on Craigslist because I didn't want to chase people. I had this idea, like, what can I do to make people reach out to me? That's really what I wanted to do. And man, that phone was just ringing like crazy, to the point to where I ended up hiring an assistant because I couldn't keep posting to Craigslist. And back in the day, you had to post every day because it would just move down. For anybody listening to this, it's been around a while. So started building a team without knowing it. Then I started reaching out to some of the new agents that would come on saying, hey, I was in your shoes, at the time it was only 6 months ago or 4 months ago, but if you need business, let me help you. And I didn't realize I was building a team at the time. And so I did. And then, got to the point to where I was starting to post. I, read this thing about PPC on Google and at the time Yahoo, all of that crap. And
you're like OG, man.
It was weird.
With the digital world. Yeah.
Yeah. My broker actually told me, I'll never forget this. My broker told me that the internet was a fad when I was first starting to post to Craigslist and start looking into like some PPC marketing and stuff like that. And, and I just remember thinking, okay, I just nodded my head. It just took off from there. I got smart finally after I had a few agents. We were literally packing around a 3-ring binder every morning. I'm kind of dating myself. I'm old. But every morning we'd come in and update a 3-ring binder with the new listings that we were posting and all that. But again, the idea of generating inbound activity. Then we got smart and got a CRM, which allowed us to manage our database at a much better aspect. Ended up leaving that brokerage, went to Remax for a little while. And then a couple friends and I, and my husband, we decided to open our own brokerage. And this was now fast forward to 2009. So we all remember what was happening in late 7, 8, 9, and even part of 10, even the market's tanking. Everybody that knows us tells us we're crazy. We're now, looking for space, brick and mortar to open our own brokerage, go independent. And it was fantastic, right? We were willing to spend money and do things to build a business that when nobody else was willing to do that. And what was great is we were, the team built really fast. We started replicating what we were doing. I started managing outside cities. So outside Boise, took down platforms in like Reno, Vegas, Salt Lake, Southern Idaho, and just started replicating what we were doing. So it worked really, really well. And I got obsessed with now the process. Lead generation became easy now because everybody was offering it at this point. Then it became to like, how are we nurturing and building a pipeline and a database and converting? And I became really obsessed with CRMs and the tools and stuff that we use. So 2015 was my last year running the team, and I transitioned over as one of the founders of FirePoint CRM. We started building it for ourselves. So 2015, of the starting founders, somehow I got elected to be the leader and build the sales team and the support team and all that. So I stepped out after 2015 running the team and the brokerage. We did a little over 800 sales that year, which was fantastic. And then ran FirePoint for the next 5 years until we merged with RealVolve back in 2020, and then did that for about a year and then stepped out. We exited out of that, took some time off, and now I'm starting a new team here in Denver, rebuilding Boise, which is kind of what I wanted to talk to you about. And I'm going to be, like you mentioned, in Fort Lauderdale, Boca, where HyperFast. Where is it officially at? Not Fort Lauderdale.
It's in Boca Raton. So just, and for those of you listening, don't know the location, it's about 25 minutes from the Fort Lauderdale airport, hour from Miami, 25 minutes from West Palm Beach. So 3 airports you can fly into, beautiful weather. Like we're recording this on, was it January 4th today? And it's like 75 degrees here. That's probably what 75 to 85 is like the range you'll be looking at. And
it was spend two days. 1 here yesterday, 1 degree. Yeah. So anyway, so what I'm going to be talking about, just to kind of fast forward. Sorry, that was a long kind of background, but it's going to kind of tie into what I want to talk about. Is at your event on the 1st, 2nd of February. There is, I'm now building a team here in Denver, coming back in. And to be completely transparent, I'm going to talk about this on your stage. Anybody that knows me, I'm very candid and transparent. When I stepped out to run FirePoint and coming off of doing 814 sales in 15, really just left the database on cruise control, right? Let the agents just do what they want. It was a good sized database, thought they'd just live off it. I kind of checked out, and clearly the sales on the team and everything went down, quality agents in and out, and so the last 6 months has really been kind of a reset for me, stepping out of, the SaaS, the software world, and coming back into like, all right, now that, I've built some successful teams, had successful numbers, worked in real estate tech and with some of the best, partners out there, Ylopo being one of them, Sisu, all of these industry partners, people in real estate that we're using to build our tech stack, and chatting with incredible teams. I mean, part of my FirePoint journey is, meeting you and Carrie, right? And getting to speak and share the stage on what we're doing and how tech helps and how to, successfully build real estate teams. And so now it's coming in with this perspective of almost, I think having too many ideas, right? But one big clarity is understanding what I was doing wrong, where I went wrong, letting the team stay on cruise control, and really getting that chance to reset. So last year was, all right, do we kind of adapt and try and fix what we have and go from there, or start over? And we really went, especially with Boise, since that was our primary market. We did a full reset, basically imploded it. We went from 17 agents down to 3 within just a few days. And really with the idea, and it was really a subset team was made. So before anybody sends me hate mail or messages, wasn't just like, people. It was a subset team, but it was coming to this understanding of where are we wanting to go as a team and as team leads, and with what type of agents. And this is what I'm going to be talking about. It's really wanting to rebuild and understand how we're building a database forever, right? Using dynamic lead generation, not just typical lead generation, using dynamic lead nurturing and automations, and then really only having agents focus on this third pillar. And these are the 3 things I'm going to talk about a little bit today, and then go in depth in Boca, is that dynamic lead generation, the dynamic lead nurturing and automation, and then lead conversion. And really that third pillar, lead conversion, moving forward with these teams, is the only area I want the agents focusing on. And I literally only want to hire and build a team of full-time committed agents that also have incredible growth mindset. But I only want to build a team of agents that are focused on inbound lead activity. All right. So for me, I really want to remove, all the crap that, you talk to real estate, you guys have agents, you talk to team leaders. What's the biggest complaint from real estate team leaders and agents, right? It's lack of follow-up. The agents aren't in there doing this. Well, the agents also don't want to. And let's be honest, if I'm a busy agent and I'm spending all my time, on my phone or at my computer, responding and nurturing as much as it takes to incubate these people through a pipeline, I'm not out doing what I need to do, right? The dollar productive activities. I'm not, showing property, writing contracts, negotiating contracts, and going to closing. Like, really, as an agent, that's my highest and best use. That's what I should be on. But yet this industry, for some reason, team leads especially, we're pulling our hair out and fighting with our agents and forcing them to make sure speed to lead, right? Every time a lead comes in, you have to be on it right away. I'm not saying that's bad, but my belief, and everybody does this a little bit different, is I want to remove that from the agent. I'm more obsessed with speed to response. Why should I be focused and have agents, high priority, speed to lead on somebody who's never given me the time of day? Is this the right person? Is this the right phone number? None of that matters. I only want my agents focusing now on people who are worth their time, right? And it's adjusting and tweaking the tech stack to allow them to see that. So really, I want to take 2/3 of the problem, off the plate for my team. So number one, the lead generation. And it's not just typical lead generation. Like, there are better and smarter ways. These are people, right? To find people, that are looking to buy and sell. And we've all seen the change with, and again, don't send hate messages, please. I'm not bashing anybody. We've all seen what's happened with Zillow, really a realtor, the cost is going up and going up to the point where it's not even just the cost per lead. Now it's a percentage of our commissions in a lot of areas, right? So that cost is getting insane.
Yeah, Zillow's been making a huge push in certain areas on that. So
yeah, 100%. How do you scale that, right? It's really tough, especially as a team lead, to build your business off of something where there's a 20, 25, 30% referral off the top all the time, right? It gets really difficult. And then you have a team, and then there's a split, and we need everybody to have there just has to be a shift, right? If you're going to grow and scale, we can't all be fishing out of one pond. So the idea of dynamic lead generation, understanding that these are people, right? My job as a team lead, as a rainmaker, whatever you want to call it, is to create opportunity. And I can't put all my eggs in one basket, hoping that Zillow or Realtor or anybody else, again, doesn't change the rules, because I have to follow those, right? Whether they change the cost structure, whatever it is, I have no control. None of us do, right? So we've all seen it happen over and over. So really, with this idea of dynamic lead generation, of finding different ponds, different stream, but we have to go upstream really to make this scalable and to do it. Meaning, we can't wait until these people, and this is something I'm working on. These aren't leads; these are actually people, right? That have problems to solve, have pains, reasons that they're moving or buying or whatever it is. But we need to go upstream. We need to start getting these people into our ecosystem when they are just in that dreaming phase, right? I like to talk about 4 phases that these people are going through, right? There's the dreaming, when they're just starting to think about it, when they're going on to Google or wherever it is to type in, homes for sale in Boca or Boise or Denver, wherever it is. They're just dreaming, thinking about it, right? And then they go into the second phase, which is planning. Right now, they're willing to probably go on the websites a little bit more, maybe save some favorites, do some other things. They're now starting to make a plan a little bit, and there's different buying signals and online behaviors that our tech can capture and put into our system, right? When they start planning, we need to be in front of them, right? Capture them when they're dreaming, be in front of them a little bit with remarketing, retargeting. But when they start planning and doing different things, we need to be in front of them, right? Adapting searches automatically, having responses go out to them. Understand that over 50% of these people, believe it or not, are millennials, right? Over 50% of our buyers and sellers are millennials. And we need to understand, how are we communicating? We can't communicate the same way, 10 years ago. I'm the biggest fan of the phone. I'm the biggest fan of calling and talking, but that response rate is going down and going down. We all know that, right? As millennials are coming into it. And it's tough. You think about millennials, and I was just at an event a few weeks ago, and they talked about millennials being over 50%, and somebody challenged it. And they're like, well, would you consider a millennial, 25 or 30? And they're like, yes, all the way to age 40 now. Would you? No, wouldn't consider someone who's 40 a millennial. Well, sorry. It's true, right? So start thinking about your buyers and sellers, your 30s, mid 30s, late 30s, even 40 now, millennials. How are we communicating? So making sure that we're capturing upstage when they're that planning, that second stage, that we're communicating them in the right way. Right. And then that third stage, shopping. Now they're ready to shop. If we're waiting for them to shop, all right, these are what I call a hand raiser. This is Zillow, Realtor.com. They already have a question. We are paying way more money for them, and we are competing with way more people, right? But as agents, we're so focused on today business that we're not understanding this building a database and pipeline, right? At a fraction of the cost, right? We're waiting for them to get that third phase of shopping, and then the fourth stage, which is transacting, ready to write that offer, right? So there's a big shift in dynamic lead generation. How are we finding them further upstream before they've built a relationship, before they've started talking to agents, and to stay in front of them with brand and messaging. So when they get closer to that planning and shopping phase, your team, my team, whatever team is top of mind. Right? The problem is that agents are going to go broke, and we've seen it. Our agents don't want to reach out to somebody 15, 20, 30 times when they've never heard from them. They don't want to nurture them for 12 months or 18 months. We know when we're capturing, these people, these buyers and sellers online, which is where 98+% of everybody starts their home search and selling process. When they're online in that dreaming phase, they're unfortunately in that 12, 18 month phase out, right? Are there some that are shorter? Yes, we've all fallen into them. I get it, but it's not the norm.
It's like probably 10% are in that short-term bucket. And
do you want to focus on the 10%, or you want to focus on the 90 or the 70 or even the 60%? And then not only that, the cost of acquiring, that cost per lead, those of us are tracking our numbers on that 10% is 1,000x, right? What the others are, and you just can't grow and scale. So it's really understanding how do we have this dynamic lead generation of different types, get them in, but then into that second phase, dynamic lead nurturing and automation. How do we keep them in our ecosystem, coming back to our website, seeing our brand on social media, talking to us when they see it, so that when it comes to the part of the third step, which is lead generation, we're there, right? And I think that is really what I'm doing personally, and I'm working with teams all over North America, of really shifting how we've been doing business to how we're going to be doing business in 22 and going forward. And it's really allowing our agents to focus on a smaller, more active group of people versus trying to boil the ocean, right? And it's just a matter of using the tech and the tools that are at our fingertips. I don't know if I went too deep there or not. But
no, I mean, you covered a lot. So, and I think, I talked to tons of agents, team leaders. You've got a very scientific approach to this, very numbers based. I think maybe if we could dive in a little bit more to the dynamic, lead nurturing, how that could benefit not just team leads, but like could a solo agent benefit from these technologies? Platforms?
A good question, right? I mean, if you really think about it, I mean, who needs more automation and dynamic, in this term, meaning, whether it's on the dynamic lead generation, is asking more questions, finding them in different spots, and bringing them into the funnel, then the dynamic nurturing and automation that you're talking about, which I think is a great spot to probably go deeper into. If you really think about who is more likely to probably not have time or be able to nurture somebody for 12 to 18 months, a solo agent or a team of 10. That solo agent, right? You're a one human show, right? You're wearing a lot of hats. I'm doing the lead generation. Now I have to do the nurturing and the reach out and all that. And again, it's figuring out where's my highest best use time. So a lot of lead generation, once you dial it in or hire the right partners, that's off your plate, right? The area where I think a lot of solo agents and even teams, but you brought up solo agents, let's focus there, are going wrong is they're like, okay, I've heard I have to have speed to lead. I've heard I have to call, and then I've even said this, 3 times a day for 3 days, 3 times a week for 3 weeks, whatever it is, this to nurture through. Well, we're so consumed and obsessed with that speed to lead and that nurturing, we're losing that speed to response that I talked about earlier. So yeah, really the tools are out there and it's, you're saying like I'm really dialed in and numbers driven. I've just basically kind of built the tech stack that I need to take that off my plate. And if I'm a solo agent, it's even more important, right? Because I can't wear that many hats, or this is where you get that up and down, right? So lead generation, let's just say that's automated because I've hired company ABC, whoever it is, Ylopo, to do my lead generation and bring in all those opportunities. Well, now I have to nurture them along and stay in front of them and do all the steps that I need to get them to that shopping and transacting phase. Okay, well, that's great. I'm doing that. And a lot of agents will do it well at the beginning. And that's what starts getting you this activity as you're climbing and climbing. Well, what happens once you have, 2, 3, 4, 5, I mean, some of my agents right now have 5, 6, 7 buyers qualified, ready to go. Well, most markets, I'm not sure about yours, but most markets and most teams right now have an inventory shortage more than a surplus, right? So now I've done all this work that gets me up to here. And now I'm out showing property, opening doors. Great use of your time, dollar productive activities. But what am I not doing? Everything that got me to that peak, right? So now all of a sudden I'm showing property, or going on listing or doing what I'm doing. Well, this is what's causing the peaks and valleys, right? Everything that I did to get me busy. So when we start talking about dynamic lead nurture and automation, this is why it's so important. Solo agent team, it doesn't matter. Figure out, how do I get everybody coming into my ecosystem now? How do I keep my brand in front of them? Not just in their inbox, right? Not email, because we already know most of us have hundreds, if not thousands of unread email. So now I need to make sure where are people spending most of their day, right? We've all seen the news where they're starting to try and put time restraints and stuff on how much time you can spend on Instagram or Facebook or whatever it is. So not only now are we getting them in and we're getting them on, email campaigns, which we've done and we still do. I don't know that they're the most effective, but it's a piece of the puzzle. But now we need dynamic remarketing, retargeting. That means everybody coming in. This is what Ylopo does so well, and why we've used them for years now, is everybody coming into our ecosystem, whether we got them from Zillow, an open house, my sphere, PPC, doesn't matter. They're coming in, and anybody who we can match on social media is going to get remarketed to. This is all happening automatically, right? So now everywhere they go, kind of like, we go looking for, that backpack or pair of shoes or whatever we're looking for that we want in our life, and we see it everywhere we go online. That is what needs to happen in real estate. But yet most teams and agents aren't going to do it. And it's something we can automate and take off our plate, right? What also happens when we're doing this is our conversion goes up. So we're more than willing to write big fat checks and give our credit card out for more and more lead generation to focus on that 10% that you said. Well, we can back down on how much we're spending on lead generation if we ramp up what we're doing right now in that automation of lead nurturing, right? So now we get that dynamic remarketing, retargeting. They're seeing us everywhere they're going. Our brand, downloading the MLS every single day. Based on your social profile, we all check that box that says I agree to the term and services on basically anything and everything that we want. So including social media, all that. When we do that, we're allowing certain companies like Ylopo to get in there and find out, what do you like? What are areas that you're checking in? What area, type of home are you likely to like, right? We can download that carousel every single day, put it in front of you. Now, because it's dynamic, it's learning. Which ones are you scrolling past? Which ones are you actually pausing on and clicking on? And then it's learning, it's dynamic. So now it's putting more homes like that. So let's say you slow down or actually started scrolling through, not even click, but started scrolling through on golf course homes. What are you going to start seeing more of? Golf course homes. Everything has your brand. So that's one step, or one piece of automating and this dynamic lead nurturing, right? Remarketing, retargeting. In addition, automate it. So now when we see that they are slowing down on this type of home or this price range or this, even down to the color, whatever it is, now we can have AI. It's called behavior texting, right? So because we know most people are more likely to respond to a text message than an email or a phone call right now. Now we've got them in the ecosystem. We know where they came from. We following them on social media. We know what they're likely to like, when they're likely to possibly buy. We see what carousel ads, what homes from your MLS that they're starting to slow down on. Now the AI can start sending them and texting them links to homes like this, asking questions. Hey, Dan, curious if you've seen any homes in XYZ neighborhood, or like to maybe possibly be by the golf course, whatever it is. And it's full on learning. What messages are you responding to? What is it not? So again, this is all happening in the background. Anytime that it's, there's a response, it's coming directly to that agent, back to that solo agent. So now the solo agent isn't worried about lead generation, those opportunities, everything are coming in. Now they're not going on social media posting great new listing and whatever, manually no, we don't need to do that, right? Let's follow people where they're at based on what they're likely to want. So that second piece is the remarketing, retargeting dynamic, right? The behavior text, a third piece, behavior text. These are not just text campaigns. That's something separate. I also love those, but those are static, right? We all write out our text campaigns on day 1, send this, on day 4, send this. That's static. That's great. That's a piece of it, kind of like the drip emails, but the behavior texting is key. What's going on based on this person and their journey in their dreaming, planning, shopping, or transacting phases. It's all about them, right? Too often we make this about us and our journey. And the questions are, hey, Dan, did you see anything you like that you want to go see? Hey, Dan, I saw you saved a favorite. Do you want to go see? That's self-serving. That's all about us, right? We are not focusing on these people.
So how does this behavior-based texting work? Is the message dependent on what they are doing? And
yeah, a couple different
automating that.
Yeah. So it's all part, because when your text starts talking to each other, there's a lot more information, right? So it can be triggered on several different things. Maybe they haven't been back to the web. This is somebody who registered maybe a year ago, haven't been back in a year. Their behavior changed. They came back to the website. That's captured, right? So it might be something, hey, Dan, just reaching out. We're updating records. Curious if you ever bought that home or not, right? Because now it's like a renewed interest. Excuse me. So based on renewed interest, it's going to start a new behavior text because you logged on. Or maybe you logged on 5 days in a row, and that's not your typical behavior. Maybe you're somebody who logs on once a week or once a month. It's a different behavior. So the algorithm catches that, and then it's a different message based on that behavior. You saved a favorite. Whatever the behavior is, meaning you, the buyer, the seller, the person on the other end. So it all ties together. And then there's a fourth piece, which is really cool. And again, this is all that nurturing. So now we're all used to going into MLS or CRM and setting up a safe search. All right. Well, Dan's looking for a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath with a 3-car garage, near the golf course. We can all do that. A lot of times we're doing that when we never speak to somebody, right? Every lead that comes in should be set up on a safe search, and we're going to default it based on the home they clicked on in the first 2 homes. And then it's kind of like that, we're going to set it and forget it and pray that they reach out to us and tell us when they're ready. That is 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15, 20 years ago. No, these listing alerts, these property searches that you're sending out also need to be dynamic, right? If you're setting something out, just because you came in on a 4-bedroom, 2-bath on the water, it may just caught your eye because it was a pretty picture of a pretty home, not what you're looking. If you don't open something like that, but then on Facebook, you might catch your eye on something else, now it's waterfront instead of golf course, whatever it is. The system needs to understand it. Hey, when we get the price point to this, or when we get the bedroom count to this, or when we get to this area, Dan actually opened the email, or Dan actually clicked on this one. Your system needs to be adjusting automatically and updating the properties that are going to you, changing it up, right? Why, if we send you 15, 20 emails and you don't open it, why do I just keep sending you the same crap over and over? Especially if I haven't spoke to you, right? Your system, your tools, your CRM, your stages need to update to your tech, to all of your automation and remarketing. So now it's updating it. So, I mean, these are literally all things that most agents are doing manually, right? A lead comes in, we're calling, we're texting, we're putting them on a static text campaign. We're creating a listing alert or save search with what we think that they know. We're sending them an invite to like our Facebook page or whatever. It doesn't work like that. First of all, it's manual. You don't have time, especially going back to that solo agent that you're talking about. And in most of our price points, I can't remember last I saw nationally, what are we, about 300,000 nationwide average price point?
That sounds about right.
Let's even go down. Let's go 250, right? 75.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe it's a hair lower, but
yeah. So let's go 250, 7,500, right? If I can now automate more of my system, which is going to increase my lead conversion, it's taking the lead follow-up, that cold calling, a lot of that prospecting off my plate, right? And when all of this automation, these dynamic listing alerts, the dynamic remarketing, the behavior text, the dynamic listing searches are all going out and things happen, what's great is all that feeds back to your CRM, right? So, and actually, can I show you something really quick?
Yeah.
Let me show you something.
So if you're listening, by the way, if you're listening on Spotify or iTunes or any of that, you're missing out because Gabe's
I'll show this in
Gabe's. Yeah, you can see this at the event, but Gabe's got it here, sharing the screen. We put the podcast up on the HyperFast Agent YouTube channel. So if you're a podcast listener, this might be the episode to check out on YouTube as well.
Yeah, check it out. Because really what we're doing, everything I've just been talking about, right? The lead generation, all the dynamic lead nurturing, remarketing, all of that is really getting us to that third step where I'm talking about all I want my agents to do now respond to inbound activity, right? If I'm a solo agent, I'm going to go back to your example. Can a solo agent? Yes, you employ all the exact same things, have it feed into your CRM. And now my mindset when I'm an agent is I'm going in and I'm like, who is worth my time right now? Who is doing something that's inbound that's worth my time? I'm going to trust my tech stack and everything to do a lot of the nurturing for me. And so what I've done and what I'm showing is most people, so I'm in my CRM, I use Follow Up Boss. Doesn't matter. I would use something similar as far as how you do this, but most people go into where they just see all of their people and they're just like, oh crap. Let's see, who was the last person that logged on? I'm going to start calling some of these people, right? We're looking for a needle in a haystack. That's not how we need to do it. What I've done is I've taken all of the activity, all of the opportunity, all of the actions that these people have taken based on all the things that we just covered, and I put them into lists. And my agent's job for the most part is just to come in and zero base it. So number one, who's a hand raiser? So I know instantly with one click, and this is for my team in Boise, they know that since yesterday, right now we've got one person with their hand in the air asking a question on a property for a showing or something like that. Number two, and I put these in order, so it's like paint by number. We want more listings, right? To me, nobody's less than a hand raiser. That's why it's number one, who's literally got their hand in the air. Right now, we want more listings. My number two list, who's right now engaging with HomeBot that we haven't made contact with and updated their stage. As you can see here, right here, somebody we closed a while ago. We don't know. They're 6 months. Zero this list out. We have 167 because we have thousands of past clients engaging with our HomeBot. We want more listings. Who do we currently have right now that our ISA team have deemed as hot that we haven't got the agent to confirm the appointment yet? Right now, an agent can literally come in here and just click on it. Who's talking to Raya instantly right now in order? Right? I know this is an hour ago, most recent person to talk to Raya, then the next most recent. Who's actually, this is those behavior texts Dan was talking about, who's talking to Raya so that we can now start responding to. All of these are literally inbound activities. All right. Who's triggering priority alerts right now? I've got 300 people that have done something on the website that Ylopo was deemed as a priority, meaning they've logged on multiple times. They've come back after being gone for so long. They've favorited properties. So literally taking all the data, and I don't know if you noticed that, but it was a database of 72,000 people. Well, that's not bite size. Now I'm taking all this data and saying, okay, now just dish up in priority order, who's raising their hand. There was one, right? That was my Denver, and Denver probably has 2 or 3. Number two, who's engaging with HomeBot? Who's actively gone into HomeBot and looking at the data that we're pulling to find the equity that they have in their home, right? Number three, who has our ISA team actually got on the phone that they have not been able to transfer to us to confirm the appointment? Who is talking right now to our AI is called Alex. Who's talking to Alex right now? Only inbound. Not just who are we reaching out to, but who's responding to Alex in real time. So I can now go in and either take over the conversation or reach out from my personal phone and set my appointment. Who's triggering priority alerts? This is the highest of the highest, right? Has saved multiple favorites, has logged on multiple days in a row, has come back after being absent for X days, weeks, or months. Everything is inbound. So now total, you probably have about 400 or 500 there for my team in Boise versus 72,000. All inbound, all inbound. So now all the agents are doing showing property, writing contracts, negotiating contracts, and responding to inbound activity. Does that kind of help paint the picture a little bit?
So if you're a team leader, this is going to help you get your agents more focused on the money-making activities. And if you're a solo agent, it's almost even more important because like a solo agent, you pretty much just, or a small team, you've got your time, right?
Let's talk about value, right? Time.
Yeah, like a team leader, like if you don't do this, okay, it'll still work. You're just gonna have to pay more money per closing, right? But a small team or solo agent, it's your time that you're saving by.
So let's break that down. Let's break it down a little bit. Let's stick with the solo agent time, right? I mean, first of all, the solo agent, if we took a poll, and this isn't a live webinar, so we can't, but more often than not, most are going to say, I don't have time to do something, right? Whether it's past client, whether it's prospecting, lead nurturing, whatever, I don't have time, right? I'm flying solo. So you're getting time, and time is money. We also need work-life balance, right? We can go crazy. We've all talked to that agent that is just, inundated and going too much to where there's no balance and you burn out, right? So this is bringing back time and allowing you to focus in areas where your highest and best use is, right? So that's talking to inbound activity, showing property, writing contracts. So you're leveraging what little time you have. Team lead. So a couple different things. So you brought up, helps you increase lead conversion. Yeah, it does. A lot of benefits to a team lead going with this. Let's back up earlier as a team lead. I mean, most team leads, what do you always need to be doing? Recruiting, right? You're always recruiting, looking. So let's think about, the numbers are staggering for us and we just implemented this a couple months ago, but your message, what you're recruiting to. So the typical, hey, we do lead generation. Everybody does lead generation anymore. All right. And every time we on that. So what kind of lead generation do I get them? Do I have to go fishing in a pond? Do I do the nurturing? Oh yeah, they come in first to claim or whatever you want to do it. It's round robin and you get it. And then it's yours until you ever make contact and convert it. Who cares? Or you know what? Yeah, we absolutely do lead generation. And then we take a majority of the lead prospecting and nurture off your plate as well. We're only recruiting for agents to respond to inbound lead activity. No cold calling is really required unless you want to add it on yourself. There's always a pond of leads that you can prospect in, but my only request is that you respond to inbound lead activity. It's a completely different message, right? For team leads, your recruiting calls go through the roof, right? Now, with great power comes great responsibility, and I'm learning this. You also have to be careful that you're not just hiring agents that are thinking they're going to sit back and just cherry pick. You still need them to be part of it because I can turn the dial. You can turn the dial. Carrie can turn the dial. Any team lead up and down, we're taking a majority of that pipeline off the plate. You guys have a massive database. People who have been building databases for a long time that think it's trash or cold. We just turned on, here's an interesting stat. So we just turned on about 8,000 people that have been in our database for over 2 years that were cold, dead, trash, whatever you want to call them, never spoke to us or anything. We realized we found this basically bucket that had not been added to remarketing, retargeting, the dynamic listing alerts or anything. We turned that on early December. And I want to say right around 6,000, if I remember correctly, about 6,000 people. Again, dead, trash, nobody ever talked to. I don't know, 3rd, 4th of December in there somewhere. I was just looking at the numbers the other day. We had around 400 priority alerts. Out of those, all I literally did is here by local, put them on dynamic remarketing, retargeting, behavior texts, and the dynamic listing alerts. And basically I told the team, I'm putting these in there and turning it on. I'm not expecting anybody to do anything other than just respond to the ones that we think are worth our time. They'll come into the list, right? So I showed you those lists, right? I turned it all on, didn't ask the team to do anything. If somebody raised their hand, and I think we had 9, and so that we're talking about 3 weeks, we had 9 dead or trash leads request a showing, request more information or a showing on a property. Boom, they popped into list number 1. Agents didn't have to do anything other than wait for them to get notified that somebody populated into list number 1, that hand raiser list, right? Several of those HomeBot engaged that we saw were from that list. We had almost 400 or just over 400 priority alerts from these dead trash leads, meaning they came in and did something of value or of activity that Ylopo deemed it as a priority, that then fed it into one of our lists. They either started talking to Alex, our AI, or they triggered the behavior texts or alerts based on their activity, saving favorites, logging on multiple days in a row. So all the agents had to do is sit back. I didn't increase my cost. I didn't buy more leads, right? So where I'm going with it is this strategy is allowing people to not necessarily have to increase their budget if they're bringing on more agents or wanting to increase the size of their team. It's allowing you to figure, how do I get more juice out of the fruit that I currently have, right? We actually, when we started this mid 21, especially in Boise, because I've been building that database for years, we turned off lead generation for months. We literally just sat back working the activity and the inbound communication and opportunity based on our existing database that I started back in 2002. We turned it off for several months, right? We just turned it back on a couple months ago. And not that I need it today, again, knowing a lot of it that I'm turning on today really isn't going to be ripe and ready to pick for that 12 to 18 months, really starting to build the pipeline. The agents don't even really have to see the new leads. On my list, if you looked closely at my list, I'm going to show you one more time. I know we're running out of time here because I talk way too much. When you look at my priority list, again, hand raisers, engage with HomeBot, my ISA, we use Conversion Monster, talking to Raya, priority list, people that update a new phone number. And these are the number I want my agents to work at. Number 7, it's the last of the 7 lists that my agents have, is the new leads. I don't even want them touching the new leads. They don't need to. I have ISAs calling them. I've got AI hitting them, everything else. New leads on my team is only if you have time and want to do some prospecting, because these are people that have not done something of value. They have not spoken to us yet. We have not had any contact. That's why they're still staying in that new lead pond. Once we make connection, or the ISA team, they come out of it into a different stage or into a different pond. So literally our new leads, which is most teams when they're hiring and training new agents, oh yeah, we do all this new lead generation. We want you to speed the lead, hit them fast, hit them often, that first 10 days of pain, whatever you want to call it. It's literally our 7th list. I don't want the agents. I don't want you focusing on somebody that's only been on my site for 10 days when I know 90% of them aren't going to be ready for a year. When I've been doing this for a long time, and I know the great stuff, the gold, the ripe fruit, are people who've been on my site for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. They're the ones that have been thinking about it, or taking action. They're the ones that maybe we missed 3, 4, 5 years ago that have a ton of equity, and now they're wanting to sell. I saw a post on one of the groups. I don't know if it was Lab Code or Ylopo or one of them saying, hey, what do you guys do when somebody says they have an agent they already bought? Do you just delete them? No, never delete anybody, right? First of all, they have an agent. Chances are that agent is going to drop the ball and not talk or not respond to them. And when that happens, they're going to call someone else. I want them thinking of me. I still going to let them see until they unsubscribe or any of that, they're still going to see my remarketing, retargeting because they signed up for it, listing alerts, all of that. Right? The ones that already bought. Hey, congratulations, Dan. I know buying in this market can be difficult because there's not a lot of inventory. And I'm going to look, what cities were you looking at? Did you end up buying in the Boca Raton area? They respond, yes. Hey, congratulations. You know, a lot of my buyers love monitoring the equity in their investment. Here's a link to my equity reports. You can sign up for it. It's at no cost. I'm now getting buyers that I dropped the ball on, or my team that we missed, giving me their new address, and now I'm putting them in HomeBot. I'm just going to incubate and nurture them, right? Nobody gets deleted, and that's all going to go right back into that second step, right? The dynamic lead nurturing and automation until they're ready to be converted again. So it's just this whole ecosystem of building this pipeline. And I'm going to go way deeper in Boca Raton, actually show examples, how I built these, the different types of dynamic lead generation, how to do it, some scripting, some insights and things like that as well. So I don't know. Hopefully I didn't ramble on too.
No, I love this idea. It's like, just to use another Florida analogy, like you could go fish the whole ocean, right? Or imagine a system of technologies that that tell you, no, the fish are here today. Go fish here, right?
Did you see that on my list? Is that why you said that?
No, I didn't see that.
So I love that. So actually, so literally, the ocean. So let me get out of here. Sorry. The ocean is literally where everybody, this is our big, 51,000 of our 72,000 are in the ocean, right? It's literally like, it's not a bad lead. It's not a bad person. They're just not ready yet. Let them grow up and be a bigger fish. When they start jumping. So to me, that's the analogy. I love that you said that. Leave them in the ocean. They're in the ocean. You go fishing in the ocean anytime you want. The agents have access. That's if they want to go prospect. But I guarantee you, when they start jumping in the ocean and there's activity and they're worth your time, they will pop into list 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. All you have to do is zero base the list each day, and you're guaranteed to only be talking to people who are active, have accurate information, or asking to be reached out to. It changes the whole game.
Well, I'm excited to have you come down to the summit coming up soon, probably just a few weeks from when this actually goes live. So if you're listening, if you're watching, go to hfasummit.com, check out the event. If you use the code podcast25, our podcast listeners get 25% off. So go to hfasummit.com and use the code podcast25. That's good for the gold and the VIP tickets.
And I saw your lineup of speakers. Like I'm not even gonna lie, I'm intimidated. I've spoken a lot of places, but you've got some incredible brains and thought leaders on that stage.
Yeah, it's gonna be a blast. Gabe, I know you got to run, but before you sign off, I always like to do the HyperFast round. If you're ready for 5 rapid fire questions. And
I don't know what this is, but okay, sure.
Biggest piece of advice to a new real estate agent?
Focus on the service, not the sale.
Biggest mistake you see successful real estate agents making?
Chasing new opportunities and not incubating their current database.
What's the biggest challenge or a challenge you've had in business, and how did you overcome it, or what did you learn from it?
Ooh, good question. I would say turnover on the team. And I think what I did is I was one of those that failed and was so obsessed with always growing and getting more and more. I didn't help agents evolve and build a business and a team within my team. I think they felt like they had to leave, and that's my fault. It was a culture mistake. And that's something I'm working on, have not perfected.
If you had to start over, you couldn't take your money, you couldn't take your reputation, but you could take everything you've learned in your 2 decades of doing this. What would be the first thing you would do as a new agent?
Oh, damn, that's a good one. Get on a team. Just get on a team. Get on a team.
All right, last question here. Where do you see yourself 5 years from now?
I don't know. I'm going to honestly say, I don't know.
That's probably the most honest answer anyone's given.
I don't know. I don't even know how to do that, because we are in that regrowth, rebrand everything mode right now. And there's so much opportunity. I don't know, honestly. You know, if it was how I lived life before, I'd have multiple satellite teams across the country. I don't know if I want to do that. My gut tells me I want to go deep, not wide. Go and really focus on a smaller group of higher producing agents where we all have more balance and control in our life. But I don't know.
Perfect answer. Thank you so much, Gabe. If people want to connect with you, how should they do it? Social media?
Social media. Gabe Cordova, Facebook. Gabe A for my middle initial. Gabe A Cordova on Instagram. I'm a realtor in residence at Wailopo as well, helping teams all over North America. So I'm pretty easy to find. Just and literally that's what fills my bucket, is actually helping people and giving back to an industry and community that's given so much to me.
Amazing. Thank you, Gabe, for all the value and lessons you brought to our listeners and viewers today, and to all of our listeners and viewers. Thanks again for tuning in. Please leave us some feedback, comment, let us know what you liked, what you didn't like, and share this with people that you think would benefit from seeing or listening as well. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the HyperFast Show. Subscribe to us if you want to make sure you get the latest and greatest HyperFast shows. And remember, we love reviews. Reviews help us bring better and better guests and improve our shows. So give us the good, the bad, and the ugly. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we will see you next time.
Hey guys, thanks for sticking around to the end. I hope you enjoyed that video, and if you want to see more, click right here. And if you want 100 real estate tips from my best-selling book, click right here to download them instantly. And if you're new to this channel, click below to subscribe and turn on post notifications so you don't miss out. And leave some comments about what you think on the videos.